We reached 500 subs! And by we, I mean me and you together. And I completely forgot to set some kind of milestone goal that I would do if we reached 500. So instead, I've been working on something all week that I'm looking to give back to my community, but you'll have to stick around until the end of the video to find out exactly what that is. Otherwise, June was a big month with a lot of games and a lot of friends. So let's take a very quick sneak peek at what happened during June now. Hello everybody and welcome to the Boardgaymergirl channel. If you're new here, my name is Natalie and I like to talk about all things board games, but from a primarily solo perspective. Today we are doing another monthly recap, and June was a whopping month with a lot of different friends, activities, and definitely a whole lot of gaming. If you haven't already seen, I go over all 25 games that I played in a week while I was in Edmonton, but for the entire month of June, I actually played close to 40 games, and I played nearly 50 times of the games that I did play. So, cutting down to my favorites, disappointments, and surprises for this month was a little tougher than usual, but I will get into those, along with a little tidbit of the activities and things that I participated in while I was going to Edmonton that is outside of my 25 games that I played for that 1 week visit. Then by the end of this video, because I hit 500 subscribers in June, I've been working on something to give back to my community, especially since I didn't set another goal costume for hitting another milestone for the channel. It got away from me and I didn't think it would happen this fast. So stick around until the end as I have a few opportunities for you to participate as I give back to the community and try to make it a little bit more two-way instead of one way into a camera for different activities that we can do together. Otherwise, let's get into the board game stats for June. So for the month of June, I played 38 different games and I played 47 different times. I will put up all of the different games that I played for the month on the screen, but I am not going through all of them because we would be here for a very long time. So today we're only going to go over 10 different games, and they all fit into the categories of my June favorites, my disappointments, and my surprises for the month. So my first game for favorites is an older game, and it is called the Princes of Florence. And this surprisingly has a solo mode, which I have no idea how it plays, but I'm super curious about it now. And main things that you're going to be doing includes tile placement, but also bidding for those tiles that you'll be placing on your own little player board, which again, it has a solo mode, so I'm super curious how that works. And as you're bidding for these tiles, you have your money stacks behind a shield, so no one really knows, except for at the beginning of the game, how much money everybody has to keep bidding for things. So there's strategy in bidding for things or getting people to bid higher for things you may not even really want in order to have them deplete their supply and you get to pay for things a lot cheaper. And you'll be building out your little player board so that you can fulfill cards as you're kind of a I forget the word, a contractor. They're patrons, I don't know. You are an artist and you're building stuff for people that will pay you to build it in their area. As you're building out those contracts, that's how you're scoring points and you're gaining money. So it was like a really fun game that I was introduced to and definitely didn't know about. So the next game that I have on my list is a game called Stag, and this is a surprise to me. I know a few people have mentioned Mycelium or Mycelia, that is like a mushroom game that I've never played. I've only seen the cover, and this is kind of a follow-up game from the people who created that game, and it's about beetles, and I do not like bugs. I am actually a very little princess, even though I may look a little butchy. But it's got some great mechanics that I don't usually have in my board games, and that is programming. And your action tiles consist of 3 different actions that you can take on your turn, but depending on how you put them into your little dual layered board will signify which actions you're taking, as well as what resources you get to gather on your turn. Because any spaces on your board that are still revealed because of the placement of your action tiles, you get to receive. There's this balance of trying to do that, trying to get the best actions most efficiently while getting the supplies that you need to do things in the game. And you'll also be growing your bugs from 3 different levels up onto a main spinning circle board, and it is very interesting. There is a solo mode that, again, I don't know about, but I do think it's coming to crowdfunding. I'm not sure when, so I was just really excited that I got to try this game, and now I'm excited and waiting to see when it comes out. But that is a fun game I did not expect to love because bugs, but it's very interesting, and I hope they do well because it seems like a really great game. The next game that I have is actually a game that's crowdfunding currently. I think by the time this video goes out, it'll probably only have a few days left on this campaign, and it is a game called Ringyo, and this is from Paverson Studios, who has had a string of really great games recently since they've developed, as they also did Distilled and Luthier. I always call it Luthier. Luthier. But they're 2 really great games. I really like the way that the solo mode plays in the Distilled game, and Luthier is just like a larger game to get to the table for getting solo played out, but I really love it, and they have it on BGA. For Ringyo, they actually only have the solo mode out on BGA currently that you can try out. I didn't get to try it physically in person, but the Ringyo game that I got to play in Edmonton, thanks to Ilian Tyler, was a 4-player game, and it's basically Ringyo or forestry in Japan, as each player has a board that consists of different forestry tiles, and it's a pyramid. So you'll be balancing placing workers on these spots where they interconnect with 3 different types of forestry tiles. Depending on the power of your worker will signify how many actions you get to take that pertain to those 3 adjacent tiles, but also how you can either grow a forest, so you get to add another like tree trunk. You can cut down a tree so that you can utilize it later to go up and build more buildings that you can put out, and that consists of making new farms for your rice paddies that you can harvest more efficiently or productively. You can make military bases, and you can also research the forest tile that you're next to if there's trees on it, and you'll be able to go up this other kind of track that lets you score taller and taller trees for points. There's a bunch of little mini things in this game, and it's just really interesting. I can't wait really to play it again, because obviously this was the one time playing it. So that Kickstarter I think is done soonish. So if you wanted to get in on that, you can check it out. I'll put the link in the description below. Another favorite, and one that I didn't play in Edmonton actually, is a game called Explorers of Navoria. And the base game, I don't believe has solo. You have to get an expansion to have a solo mode for Explorers of Navoria. And I do think that they're coming back to crowdfunding for it, but this was the first time I played it. I actually, like, the art was neat, but I wasn't really driven to play it until someone brought it to a game day and we were introduced to it. And it's really interesting because you'll be doing like a bag selection to get little tokens that you pick what action you want to do of those tokens, and you have a phase where you're doing that and the pulling from the bag. And then those same tiles that were picked from the bag that you put down to get different cards, you'll use those again to move up the track on different islands as you're exploring the different islands. And then at the end, you'll get different rewards based on where you are on these islands, or you'll build your little Tableau engine. And I really like the Tableau engine building mechanic in games, and you'll be doing that with different cards that you collect during the game. And it's just really interesting. It's really colorful as well. I really like when you're going into a bag and you've got at least something better than cardboard tokens. I appreciate, because the tactile feel is a lot better, and that is probably one of the like quality upgrades I most appreciate in games, and I think they have that in the base set of when you pick up this game. But I guess there might be an expansion coming out as they are coming back to crowdfunding. But yes, that is Explorers of Navoria as my fourth game that I think I put as my favorite this month so far. So my last game that I have on my favorites list for the month is a basic trick taker with a really neat and unique condition mechanic. And that game is called Can't Win. I'm also going to shout out the art because I really like the 8 to 16-bit art that they do. So it feels very like old school Game Boy, and my very first purchase as a child after saving up lots of money from lots of different jobs was the old school classic Game Boy. But I digress. Can't Win is a trick-taking game, and there isn't a solo mode, but the one condition tactic that they have in the game, other than the regular bidding on how many tricks you're going to win in a turn, you'll also have to select a condition for each round. And these conditions can be a color or suit of a card, or odds or even cards. And when you take one of those conditions, it means that if you play a card of either that color or that number, evens or odds, that you can't, no matter what, win that trick. So you're bidding on your tricks, but you're also bidding on how you're going to play your hand when you're trying to mitigate winning or losing tricks around that condition that you have to take into account. So it's really interesting. I think it's a really neat way to put a twist on regular trick taking in general. So it is an easier to pick up game for me, at least when I think, as long as you're someone who knows trick taking in general. But it also gives you a little bit more spice on regular trick taking for people who are new to that kind of mechanic in board games and card games. So that is my favorites for June, and that is 5 different ones. I actually own none of them. I actually own none of the games that I have on this list for this month, but that's weird. I don't know if I've had that before, but let's get on to the surprises. And some of these surprises were as well kind of favorites of the month, but they surprised me because these aren't typically games that I would have thought would have been as good. And the first game that I'm going to say is Guillotine. And Guillotine, I think, is a game that I've seen here and there. And I know it got a new art redo, and I think I do like the new art, but the old art, it's just, I never really was drawn to the game. I didn't really know much about it. I do like the French Revolution history of things, but it's a small card game that just, I was like, I'm okay with not knowing. But Playing Guillotine, it was really neat. It's a quick and fast card game. The art is really neat. And you're trying to strategize when to take a noble or utilize a noble's action and try to get them before they head into the guillotine, which is an actual contraption that is a guillotine, which is funny. But yeah, I did like that one, and it surprised me that I liked it as much as I did. The next one is a party game, and party games are not usually my thing. I think party games end up on my surprises more often than not, again, because I keep saying that party games aren't usually my thing, but more and more I'm finding that I really enjoy them. Maybe it's because I play them with people. But this actually won the Spiel des Jahres just recently, and it's a game called Jinxo, or it also goes by the title Ditto, I think, in other printings of the game. But Jinxo is just a really fun party game, and I think it really gets conversations started. So it also feels like a really good icebreaker kind of activity. And therefore, I think it's approachable and accessible and something that people who may not be playing board games all the time can get into, but also just a nice way to almost start icebreakers with a group of people that may not have known each other. So Jinxo is basically, you get a prompted question and it's say like, what are really fancy foods, and you'll get to put down 3 answers that pertain to that question specifically anywhere on your 3x3 grid. And what you're basically trying to do is have at least one match so that you get a point for that. But if you can pick something so specific that only one other person on the table, you're not playing on the table, at the table. So if you can get someone, at least one other person at the table, then you'd get a point. But if you get just one specific person, you become best friends and you'll get 2 points for that. Plus, depending on where you placed it on your board, you'll get different points for that. And you do this 3 times until everyone's filled out their grid. Then everyone goes through their grid and hopes that they got a point while revealing one of the possible answers for that round. And then you'll be doing this, I think, 2 or 3 times, and the person with the most points wins. So it's more of an activity. I think party games in general for me, I feel more of being an activity to socialize around is how I usually like to see party games, and the ones that I tend to like the most. But Jinxo was well deserving of the Spiel des Jahres, so congrats to you. The next game that I found was a surprise, as it was a random purchase for me after some stranger in passing actually walked by me and told me about this game. And the game is called Pondscape. And Pondscape is a small card game, and it's kind of just a different type of set collection with a really smooth and easy way to use an AI to kind of mitigate or take away cards or options while you're playing your cards down. And it was just really neat. It was a small game. It's a little puzzle thing that I can take out whenever. You do need a little bit of room as you're building out a grid. I can't remember how big the grid is, but I'll show some pictures, I'm sure. And you're basically trying to put out your frogs in a grid formation that's kind of adjacent to each other, because your multiplier is how big of a adjacency collection of frogs that you have, plus whatever attribute they might be scoring for. And then you'll also be scoring for different food types on cards, as long as you've tucked those cards underneath those certain areas on the bottom of your graphical area that you're filling out. But this was a game that I got kind of in the beginning of June, which seems so far away now. And it stuck with me enough that I think it's a great solo game that really surprised me. I didn't think much of it, and I had heard of it. But it is by Thomas Holek, who has become a designer that I have found most of his designs, ones that I really like. I haven't played all of them, but we shall see. The next game on this list is another party game that I played in Edmonton. I had never heard of it before, but Ilya and Tyler had it and introduced it to us, and it got a few laughs. And this game is called Piggy Yellow. And this is another kind of word game and an association game, but you're using colors. So there is a prompt that is in the middle of the table, and you've got a set amount of different cards in the middle of the table, I think about 5, and you'll go around the table and everyone will lead with a one-word clue to go with that word. Let's say that it's a character and someone says Homer, so the clue giver puts their card on top of the word and everyone else will put a card from their hand on the bottom part of that word, and you're hoping that everyone is putting down a yellow card because it's a word association games based on trying to get people to place their colored cards in the correct columns. You get more points as more people are completely correct. So if everyone put a yellow card down, you'd get a yay point. But if someone for some reason put a gray card in your yellow column, then you don't get anything because you all didn't mind meld well enough. But there's also one card in everybody's hand that is always a wild, and that is a Piggy Yellow card that you can place down if you are not quite sure which color people are asking you to put down. So it is a fun game. Again, it's another kind of icebreaker where at the end of a round, everyone kind of talks about where their color association came from when someone gave a clue. So it's really interesting and it was really fun. The last game that I have on my list is my only disappointment, and I'll say it's not necessarily a disappointment, it's just maybe my head wasn't in the right space, and I did play a lot of games this month. The game that I chose is a game called In Order to Chance, and it felt very abstract, and sometimes those games hit for me and sometimes they don't. I think also the player count being only 4 to 5 players is just really limiting. I think that hopefully it would be better if they could actually make the player count higher, because it felt like the way that the game plays, it gets more interesting with the more different people that are at the table. We played this game as a 4-player game, and in it you are trying to bid to cut and choose the cards in the center market for that round, and the only people that you're trying to outbid are actually the people who are not directly adjacent to you. So when you're bidding, you'll try to obviously be the highest bidder if you want to pick if you are going to be the one to cut or choose the cards in the market, but you really only have to get second place in the bidding in order to at least get the chance to take cards at all. So with 4 players, there's always going to be 2 people that get to do that, and that's half of the people at the table. So figuring out that you only have to outbid the person diagonally across from you while we were sitting at the table kind of started to feel a little weird, but it's got interesting mechanics. I just think or wish that there was a way to play with more people than 5, and then maybe it would be a little bit more interesting, but I'm not quite sure how the game would work. I tried to think in my head for a while about how to reconfigure things for that. So that was my favorite surprises and disappointments for the month, and there was quite a few games played. These are the ones that I'm picking as my favorites, but a lot of them were so fun, and that is especially because I got to play most of them with Ilya, Tyler, and Jenna. So obviously I loved my time with Darwin's Journey as we did face masks for that. But while we visited, other than just the games we played, we did a few activities. So the main reason that I was there was actually going to GameCon, which is one of the largest gaming conventions in Canada, but it isn't specifically board gaming. So there's video gaming, tabletop RPGs, there's wargaming, little miniature games, and then there's a bunch of art and anime stuff, which is really neat to see. So it was just like a smorgasbord of geeky timedom in Edmonton. And we spent a few days there, as obviously that was for a couple of days. It ran from Friday to Sunday, but also got to see some other faces from people that went to that convention as well. Other than that, we also got to see Tyler play volleyball, and I do like sports, and I do scream when good things happen, but I also scream when balls end up near my face. But Tyler did really well. It was really nice to go and support him. Jenna also graciously had us all open Pokemon cards because she went on a hunt for Pokemon cards during this adventure that we went on. So that was really fun to open up Pokemon cards. Now I end up thinking about Pokemon, and I'm not a Pokemon person. Then I think other than that, we also went to Edmonton Mall so that we did touristy things. And Edmonton Mall has like a water park inside of the mall, a skating rink. The skating rink wasn't really open because they had a art thing going on for kids. There was also like a Lego place, which Lego's fun, but it was a big Lego store. There was a pirate ship. There was a seal. There was just a bunch of crazy stuff inside this mall. So it was interesting to go and see. And other than that, yeah, we did our face masks and we made our own pizza, which my pizza skills aren't great. But Jenna actually made a stuffed crust pizza. And our friend Bao actually made the prettiest homemade pizza that I ever did see. And man, that man got skills. So that's kind of a little bitty recap of the outside of board gaming time that we did. But a lot of it was mostly we got down to business and played some games. So you've made it to the end of this video. I guess we're done. Goodbye. No, like I said, I promised a surprise, and I am here to give you a surprise. And the surprise is that all week I've been working on a Boardgaymergirl Discord so that we can have more two-way conversations instead of this one-way conversation. Or like, you know, I make a video and then like a week later I release it, and then a week later somebody comments. And then I comment back. No, that is a really, like, we might as well be sending carrier pigeons to each other to continue a conversation, right? So, alas, we have Discord, and it is a space for all of us to just chat and meet each other and talk gaming or any other kind of neat stuff that you want to talk about. I actually included an experience tracker so that the more you participate in the Discord, you unlock different levels. I don't have anything really associated with right now, but I thought it was neat and it unlocks different colors. But the main reason that I have this Discord is because I had two different community activities that I wanted to bring back to kind of give back to the community that has showed up for me here. And especially for the solo community, because as I've continued to say, the solo community is so much stronger than I think a lot of people understand or realize. And we are actually a lot more social, I think, than people realize. Like when you sit down to play a multiplayer game, you're there, you play the game, you socialize, and it's done. Solo gamers, you find a lot more unique ways to connect with people while playing physically apart from each other. And that is where myself and another person who used to be on Instagram kind of developed a Solo Sunday challenge. And what this used to be was a hashtag on Instagram years ago where different community members could sign up to pick a particular board game and a set of solo rules. So it might just be the specific solo rules from the game, a fan-made variant, or if it's a game that has different kind of scenarios or different achievement levels, you can indicate that that's the specific parameters that you want everyone to try to play this game. And they'll have a week to play it as many times as you want. And then on the Sunday, we all kind of converse or show off our different highest scoring level that we reached for that game, with the person who has the most points kind of wins. But it was more about having an activity that everyone still gets to play solo, but we get to talk about it. So hashtags and kind of the community thing got a little bit more difficult on Instagram, and it slowly fizzled away. So it's something that I kind of thought I'd like to bring back as a specific solo activity that we could connect on. So I'm going to have that in my Discord. People can sign up, and I think to start, as it's a smaller community, we'll do it bi-weekly, and you can sign up on a Google Sheet there for whatever game and parameters, and I'll do different events and announcements to let everyone know the timing and events of those different events. I said events a lot. So the next activity that I wanted to have everyone participate in is something that I used to do with a publisher, and it was a monthly run event that was on Board Game Arena. And this one for the Boardgaymergirl Discord is the Boardgaymergirl monthly BGA tournament. And how this will work is that every month we're going to post a event for a game that everyone can play and sign up based on being part of the Boardgaymergirl group. And the tournament will be working in a round robin style of gaming. And the winner of every tournament will be able to pick the next game that the community gets to play for the next month. Now, you don't always have to play if you don't know the game or anything like that, but you do not need to have a premium account for this. So you can just sign up, have a free account, and join every month if you wish. If you also would like to have suggestions for games, if we don't have a winner, or if a winner chooses to kind of do a polled option where a few different games can be polled by the community to pick the ultimate winner for the next month, we can do that as well. It's kind of just fly by the seat of your pants, but it's again another way to virtually connect with each other with a goal and just another way to play games. Other than obviously you guys can reach out to each other and just banter and set up board game arena games that you'd like to play anyways. But that is kind of why I built out the Discord, as I was trying to think of something free and a efficient way to offer different options to the community for ways that we can interact with each other. So again, the solo community is strong, but also just being able to utilize the resources that we have virtually to kind of get a little closer. Did you want to get a little close? I'm getting weird. But anyways, that is my monthly recap for this month. I will leave the Discord link in the description below, and I'll have this link kind of updated on my link tree and all my different places that Boardgaymergirl is, so that you can join if you wish. I will not have it go right away. I will probably not have something start until the beginning of August, just so that there's some time for people to join in if they'd like to. And we will get going on Solo Sunday challenges and BGA monthly tournaments by hopefully August, latest September. So I will see you guys in the next one, and goodbye!